This is Mark Stack, and we're going to be reviewing Pacific Rim. So, what do you think of Pacific Rim, first off?
I fucking loved it. Like, that was my... I went in and wanted to see robots fight giant monsters. I saw robots fight giant monsters, and I actually liked a lot of the characters. So I got a visual treat, and I got some characters I fucking liked, so that worked.
I personally really liked, what were they named? What were the scientists? Charlie Day was one of them.
Newt and British Man.
Yeah, Newt and British Man.
And they're two scientists, and the movie's whole conceit is that robots are controlled by two different people, and these two different people use different hemispheres of their brains. So these two scientists are actually representative of the left and right hemisphere, with one being very artistic and with one being very analytical. So that was a really cool little idea. Shows that they actually put a lot of thought into the script.
Oh yeah, and speaking of which, we didn't really mention the story of Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah, okay, so we've all seen Godzilla movies, a bunch of kaiju monsters, which are giant strange beasts. They appear on Earth through a portal in the Pacific Rim, hence the title. And so humanity's like, well, shit's fucked up. It took us like 6 days to kill one with jets, and that was just a small one. We need to build giant fucking robots to punch the fuck out of these until they fucking die.
I have a feeling it was I feel like it was Germany's idea to do that.
Yeah, Germany's like, or Japan really.
Because they were called Jaegers. It's German for hunters.
Yeah, so. Jaeger is German for hunter. Kaiju is Japanese for strange beast. So yeah, it has these multiple origins. Like the robots are more of a while traditionally Japanese, giant robots are a huge thing, and in Western culture now too. So it really feels like it brings the Western and Eastern culture together in a really cool way.
Yeah, and stories about this guy Raleigh, right?
Raleigh Beckett,
and his brother go out to fight this giant kaiju, and it fucks them up completely.
Yeah, his brother dies. This isn't a spoiler because it's the impetus for his arc and his.
Yeah, it's a really it kind of like throws you off because they're such like the gung ho tag team,
and they're likable. Like right off the start, you're like, I like these guys. I hope nothing bad ever happens to either of them when they're 2 days from retirement.
Man.
Like we'll be real about this. Like that's a cliche. Like his brother dies and he feels bad about it. It's like Top Gun when Goose died. Spoiler for a 20-year-old movie. But it's a cliche. But this movie deals in cliches, but it proves why they're cliches in the first place. Because they fucking work. Like, yeah, we have this idea. We're not going to underwrite it. We're going to take this archetype and we're going to make it work. And they do that. Like, they make everything work.
Yeah, the movie's written very well. It never asks you to understand something that's out of your capability of understanding.
Yeah, and the way this movie handles exposition is something every movie could learn from. Because they get out all the details in the first 10 minutes, and they give you a fucking badass fight. Like, they give you all the information, but it never feels like you're sitting down for a fucking lecture, like a lot of movies do. Like Transformers, the movie fucking stops so often it's probably gonna go, here's the history of the Allspark. Like, this movie doesn't fucking do that. It's like, here's robots punching monsters, and we'll kind of explain shit while we do it. And the rest of it is left to you to piece together. Like, did you catch the detail about a city being built inside the remains of a kaiju that died?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's like a cool thing the movie just says, like, yeah, that happened. And they don't ask you to, like, find out how. It just is. It makes the world feel big and lived in.
And the fights are really great too. They're
yeah.
I guess they're choreographed very well.
Well, like there's a clear lucha vibe to them because
they're always picking them up and throwing.
Yeah, because Guillermo del Toro is a huge fan of lucha, and he includes like the elements of that fighting in all his movies. Like Blade 2 is infamous for having Blade just fucking pull out awesome wrestling moves. So like this movie has robots wrestling giant fucking monsters. It's amazing.
It's everything you really want.
Like, I'll be real for Mo though. It gets a little repetitive, some of the fights, because they all take place at night, and in some cases they are a little too obscured. But
yeah, most of them are in the ocean.
If you sit in the back of the theater, like you really should for a movie this magnitude, it won't be a problem for you. But avoid the front rows.
Yeah, I would have liked to see like a fight go on in the daytime where you see like the glistening robot.
Yeah, we see a little bit of that. We see a little bit of that when the Australian Jaeger Striker Eureka kills a kaiju in like 10 fucking seconds. Like they show you this little clip of a fight, and it's like, yeah, that looks really good. Like, a really cool thing is, like, you can tell they put a lot of details and thoughts in the movie. Like, these robots don't move like super robots. They're not Transformers.
They actually have a clunky movement.
Yeah, they move like fucking robots. Like, they're slow as shit, and they have rockets to help them punch. But it's fucking cool. Like, I'm fanboy about that. It's fucking cool.
But there aren't really a lot of complaints. It was just really fun, enjoyable. Probably Probably gonna be the best movie I've seen all summer.
I won't go that far. It's still no Fast and Furious 6, but it is pretty good, and I have to applaud it for being one of the rare summer movies not to shoehorn in a love story. Because there is the movie is led by two people, male lead played by Charlie Hunnam, and a female lead by, I believe, Rinko Kikuchi, and she's great in the role. She brings a lot of energy to it, and her character really is, she's basically the one with the best and most interesting arc in the movie, and you may be tricked by the advertising and not thinking that, but really she is the most exciting part of the movie. Like, yeah, she's a just really good addition to the movie.
It's really great. What would you rate this?
I don't believe in rating pieces of art because they're art, so I'm just gonna say fucking see it, because it's Godzilla fighting robots basically, and this is what we've always loved about these movies.
Well, I can rate art. Not that I should, but I can. I would give it a 9 out of 10. It's really great. There's a lot of things to love about it. All the actors are great in it, and the story's written very nicely, and the robot fighting's fucking awesome, which is what you want to see. But it just kind of leaves you wanting more, which I guess is the setup for the sequel, which I hear has been confirmed. Has it?
No, it hasn't, because this movie appears to be heading to it. The movie didn't do as well as Grown Ups 2, which is really a fucking travesty, because people are fucking terrible. They'll go pay to see an Adam Sandler movie that they know won't be funny, rather than spend money on a new property that scares them because it's different. Like, it's robots fighting monsters. What the fuck is wrong with you? You went to see Adam Sandler instead of this? I fucking hate all of you. Hello, I'm Mark, and I'm going to be reviewing The Lone Ranger, a movie that I saw this weekend, and I got sick because of it, because someone sneezed in my fucking popcorn. And really, that just describes the experience of watching The Lone Ranger. It's like someone fucking sneezed in your popcorn. You went in expecting a fun movie, maybe not even a movie that's reverent towards the source material, just, something fun, like Pirates of the Caribbean. But then you remember, oh yeah, these guys also made the 2 shitty sequels to Pirates of the Caribbean. Let's get on to Lone Ranger. So, Lone Ranger is the story of a man named John Reed who goes out with his brother Dan, who is a Texas Ranger, in search of a violent criminal named Butch Cavendish. And Butch Cavendish is a hardcore motherfucker. He eats people and shit. And because of this, Tonto, our Native American sidekick, well, not even a sidekick, he's the lead in this movie, basically, played by Johnny Depp, oddly enough. He teams up with John after John's brother is killed by Butch Cavendish, and together they try and bring him to justice, which Tonto wants to kill him, and John wants to bring him in for trial by court of law. Because John in this is not a ranger at the start. He's actually a city lawyer who comes to Texas to hit on his brother's wife. That's a weird thing. This movie is terrible with characters. There's not a character to root for in this entire movie. John, the Lone Ranger, he's a prissy bitch that never really does anything. He never actually becomes a hero. And at first you're like going with it because like, okay, they're gonna show a transformation. He'll like learn to man up and do something. But no, the entire movie he never effectively does anything. Like he accidentally makes something work. Like he accidentally shoots the gun out of someone's hand, which is a trademark of the Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger shoots guns out of people's hands. This one tries to fucking kill a guy, but he accidentally shoots the gun out of his hands. Like that's a whole problem with the movie. As I mentioned, Johnny Depp as Tonto is probably one of the worst, like most racially insensitive casting of a character in a while, because Jay Silverheels was an important figure for people when he was playing Tonto in the TV show, because it showed a Native American man working together with a white man and being his equal. In this movie, Tonto is reduced to being he's a joke. He's just walking around feeding a dead bird on his head and being annoying and talking in broken English, to the point where I thought this was racist at first, but the movie actually does extricate itself from that problem by revealing that Tonto, in a tragic bit of backstory, went crazy when something happened to his village, and because of this he's suffering from serious delusions, and this is explained by his tribe, who are represented very well. The Comanche come across very smart and very poetically sad in some cases, because they are losing their territory to these trains that are coming through. Really, the one bright spot of the movie would have to be William Fichtner playing the villain Butch Cavendish, because he has a lot of fun with the role. He brings a real sinister quality to it, which doesn't fit with the movie as a whole, but it does stand out, because the movie is trying to be a fun, like, summer family romp, but it has like very violent scenes of whole Native American tribes being massacred, of people having their heads smashed. Like, a man gets his heart cut out and eaten in this movie. You should not have a kid see this. And the way it opens, too, is really sad. It opens in 1933, which I believe is it opens in the year that the Lone Ranger radio show debuted. Like, it's their fun little nod to it. And you see Tonto's living in an exhibit called The Noble Savage, which is also kind of offensive. And it's Johnny Depp in old man makeup telling his story to a kid who is dressed like the Lone Ranger. And they basically copy things from The Princess Bride, because constantly the kid's like, that's not what happened in the story, and Tonto's like, no, you need to listen to what the actual story is. I'm not racist, that's just how we talked in that. So, you have this weird thing, and it interrupts the movie constantly. Like, they constantly stop the movie to go back to this kid hearing the story, and they constantly mess around with the time, because Tonto's getting the story wrong, which, in a good director's hands, would have been cool, but Gore Verbinski fucking fumbles it, like, right off the gate. The movie's far too long, scenes just drag. Like, there's a opening train sequence that just goes on forever, and there's never any bit of tension. Our main characters are in mortal danger, and we don't give a shit, because we don't like them at this point in the movie. We haven't had enough time with them, and they expect us to care when they almost get crushed by a train. And the movie also, I mentioned this previously, John Reed, the character, is terrible, but they do bring in some moments that feel like classic Lone Ranger at one point in the movie. The movie's almost over, and the Lone Ranger goes out to kick some ass, and they play the William Tell Overture, which is the theme song for the Lone Ranger. That goes on for like 20 fucking minutes in this ludicrous scene where the Lone Ranger is still ineffective. Like, it gets you up for a moment like, oh, I recognize this, I'm into it, and then it just drops you again, which is basically endemic of the whole movie. The whole movie is just saying, hey, you remember this? Maybe 50-year-old men that like the Lone Ranger? Or the odd 18-year-old that loves the Lone Ranger? Yeah, we're not really going to follow that, but we're going to prey on your love to make a movie that no one will want to see. So, the movie has serious problems with story, it has problems with editing. The acting choices are not good. Like, Johnny Depp should never have been cast as Tonto. Armie Hammer is good with what he's given, but what he is given is a pretty ineffectual character that is a disgrace to the name of the Lone Ranger. And there's that weird romantic subplot between the Lone Ranger and his dead brother's wife. Because as his brother's dying, he says, hey, John, I know she always loved you more. So later when, like, he kisses her, you're like, oh, yay, but also, no, fuck you. She has a kid with your dead brother. You're a monster. Don't fucking see the Lone Ranger. Like, I just hate it so much. Like, if I had to give it a rating, which I don't believe in giving art, but this movie isn't art, so I'll give it a rating. It's a fuck you out of 10.
Real talk, take 2. Action.
Hello, I'm Handsome Mark, and this is Handsome Millan, and that's regular Javante. We're here for Real Talk to talk about sequels, remakes, and reboots.
Alright, so I'm just going to ask, to start off, what's everyone's favorite sequel?
Dude, that's too big of a question. You can't ask that. I mean, fuck you, man. It's like asking me to choose my favorite kid. It's like Sophie's Choice. But my favorite sequel is Sophie's Choice 2, The Choicening. No, I'm gonna go with the lazy stock answer and say Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan, because like it ups the stakes, it brings back a cool villain, and it's just a really engaging movie.
Anacondas 2, Hunt for the Blood Orchid.
Holy shit! Yeah, like now
That's
instead
the
of
best.
one, it's more than one snake.
Yeah, there's not one big ass
Anaconda
snake.
does.
There's 80. They're killing us.
It's like they were watching Aliens and like, holy shit, we got it, anacondas.
Yes.
They're like, yes, we know what to do. Can we get J-Lo back? No? Fuck her, we don't need her.
That's really funny, because I was actually
Snakes are the
going to say Aliens is probably... Well, it's definitely one of my favorite sequels, but not the favorite.
I don't know if I can call it better than Alien, because there's such different movies, because Alien's a horror movie, and Aliens is a full-on fucking action movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I kind of just like the whole... And it does have like some kind of ridiculous points that you're supposed to believe, like... Ripley's just accepts the mission again from this evil company that sent her out to be murdered the first time.
Yeah, like her daughter died while she was in cryo sleep. Like, that's fucked up. And the movie's like, yeah, that's fucked up. But she's still gonna work with these people that didn't wake her up. So what is the worst sequel then?
Jeez. I'm not.
That's another terrible question.
Yeah, well,
It is kind of a vague question, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Like when you said, "What's a terrible?"
Titanic 2. It's an animated film featuring talking mice, and it's basically Cinderella, where the
I
roles are
remember
reversed.
that.
Yeah, there have been a lot of people joking about it for a while because it's a fucking terrible idea.
Worst sequel
Oh, it's
ever,
so
I'm telling you. Johnny Kapahala back on board. It's the sequel to Johnny Tsunami, and
Johnny Tsunami had a sequel?
and they replaced everyone except Johnny Tsunami. And I'm like, oh my god, it's
He had to have
terrible.
been 30 when they made that.
Yeah, everyone else is replaced.
Was he still a teenager?
Sort of. He looked like 20 something.
Oh, he had Ralph Macchio disease where he never grew up.
Nope, and everyone else is replaced, and I hated it. They're like running
Karate,
dirt boards.
the next Karate Kid. That's the worst sequel.
Oh my god, that one's terrible.
Hilary
too.
Swank.
She's beating up the kids in her class, which is
Yeah.
kind of dramatic.
Well, it's a movie about a horse-human hybrid that learns to fight back against crime.
Oh my god, that sounds like a superhero movie.
It kind of is. Like, the Karate Kid should have taken that leap, and because I mean, there is a superhero called the Karate Kid. We could have made this happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with reboots then. Best or worst reboot?
I heard that I haven't seen it, but I hear the Evil Dead
Terrible.
making a reboot is actually like people like it. I know.
It's fucking awesome. Like it's not as funny. It's not trying to be as funny as the original, but it just fucking goes for it on the horror and like goofier aspects. Because like the minute someone starts pouring blood out of their mouth, you're fucking on. Yeah.
So it's doing pretty well because I know, like, I think they said they're gonna make they're gonna do the whole series again, right?
I hope.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they doing Army of Darkness too?
Probably not. I mean,
Because I know we got Oz the Great.
yeah, they already
Powerful.
remade Army of Darkness as Oz the Great and Powerful. But I'm gonna say the worst reboot is the American Godzilla movie starring Matthew Broderick. Was Sarah Jessica Parker in that movie?
I think so,
she
right?
was.
Yeah,
She's the main
and,
lead,
and
right?
John Reno, great French actor who is shitty in this movie, and you would never know he's good in it. Like, you have to watch Leon the Professional to know he's actually a good actor. Well, this movie takes everything we love about Godzilla. The fact he's on a fucking rampage, he's a force in nature, he's huge, and it just ruins everything by making him this boring monster that's hiding. How does this monster hide from people in New York? Like, they lost track of a fucking monster in New York? That movie's asking you to swallow some shit, man. And that movie is a great big bag of dicks. Like, fuck that movie so hard.
So it's asking you to swallow a great big bag of dicks.
Basically, one at a time, all at once, it doesn't matter, it's gonna go down rough. Because this movie fucking hates Godzilla. Like, it's a movie by people that don't understand Godzilla.
You know, like, two things I thought were going to be reboots, but they just turned out to be remakes. And if you don't know the difference between a reboot and a remake, reboot means they're doing a series, remake is just one.
Yeah, reboots like we need to start the franchise over. Remake is like, oh, we just really like or don't like this movie and feel like it should be redone. Like, Night of the Living Dead has been remade, whereas like franchises like Spider-Man have been rebooted.
Mhm. And I thought it was gonna be a reboot, but it wasn't. It was the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. I thought they were both gonna be rebooted entirely.
I liked that Friday the
Yeah, that was
13th
great.
one because like that's the first movie where like the victim played by Jared Padalecki is bigger than Jason and he can actually fucking grab him and throw him across the set. Like he's on this show called Supernatural where he hunts monsters, so I fully expect him to fucking punch Jason right in the hockey mask and break it. He's like, I'm coming for you, Dean.
I don't
Psha.
know, best reboot? I guess maybe technically a remake. I loved Fright Night because the first one was shaky in the 80s, and
I love the original.
Dude, I loved how they remade it though. I loved
It was
everything about
fun.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we'll make a second one. It got scrapped. They didn't
Okay.
make a second one.
I'm gonna say definitive best reboot, Batman Begins. Because holy shit, the Batman movies fucking sucked before that. I have not seen a good Batman movie except for the Adam West one prior to Nolan. Because like Batman '89, Tim Burton fucks it up. Batman's barely recognizable as a character outside of the costume. Like, it's terrible. Batman Returns is so dark and weird that it just turns off the audience. Batman Forever is fun, but it's not a good Batman movie.
funny.
And Batman and Robin is just like getting a dick slapped across your face by a director that doesn't understand what he's doing.
Why isn't that like to you? Directors are always putting dicks in your face.
Because that's what they're doing to me. I'm like, I don't want this.
No, I think across the
I mean, there's just so many weird touches in those movies. That
I
don't
want to
work.
say I'm glad somebody else loves the Adam West movie
Oh, the Adam West movie is perfect. Like,
where he's
they're not-
carrying the bomb. And
It's not supposed to be serious. It's a comedy. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. And that scene was remade later in The Dark Knight Rises when Batman couldn't get rid of a bomb in time. Like, I fucking laughed in the theater when that happened. I was like, oh my god, he can't get rid of a bomb. And, like, people are crying around me. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a sad scene. Where it's directly based on an Adam West scene.
Oh, reboot that's doing really well is the Star Trek reboot.
Yeah, it's broad strokes right, but it fucks up the details.
Are they
entirely.
doing the trilogy?
Yeah,
Like,
they're doing
because they
this
can't do Search for Spock anymore since he's not dead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they do, really, because it's basically a license to print money here in America. So yeah, they're gonna keep making Star Trek. It's not gonna be as smart as it was, but
They
it's
could hire
gonna be
Neil
fun.
Blomkamp to direct it.
Yeah, like Neil Blomkamp, he recently said he wouldn't make a Star Trek movie because the studio wouldn't let him do it the way he would want to, which is a disappointment because
Oh.
Star Trek has always been about ideas, and now it's just going to be about action, which, you know, I like a good action movie. I like the world of Star Trek. I just kind of wish we could get the things that matter, because that's what happens in reboots. Sometimes they emphasize the wrong ideas over, like, the ones that are really important. Like, the new Spider-Man movie emphasized, like, the wrong things. It emphasized him being an asshole.
And his like,
Specifically.
and he had like his whole origins, his family.
Yeah, they made his parents too important.
Yeah, they were just kind of like there. Like they weren't even there. Like they were just kind of a thing that we had to accept in the first Spider-Man trilogy. It was just like, oh, his parents are dead.
Yeah.
This is an uncle and aunt.
I mean, they're trying to go back to the comics in that one. They're like, oh, Peter Parker's parents were S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. We should bring that into the movie. But really, no one reading Spider-Man gives a shit that his parents were in S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, that was just a stupid thing that came
I
up
must have
with.
been the only one then. I like that. I was like, oh, cool.
Really? I
I'm
always
glad they showed
hated
it.
that. Like,
Oh,
I always
really?
hate when you make
Fuck
characters too special. Like, it's like, alright, it's already one thing you got bit by the radioactive spider. Now you're telling me his parents were spies? Like, that's where I have to say, fuck off, movie.
Really?
I can only accept so much. Like, that's why I didn't like that's one thing I didn't like about Man of Steel.
That's not in general.
Man of Steel, not a good reboot. Totally gets the character wrong, but they add this weird, complicated thing where now Superman it has in his DNA the codex for all of Krypton's children, which makes no sense. Like all his cells have like DNA for Krypton babies. So like when his cells die, is that a dead Krypton baby? I don't know. They don't explain it, but they
Wait.
make him too special by making him the actual lifeblood of Krypton.
Wait, so does that mean when he destroyed it, it was like a giant Kryptonian abortion?
Yeah, like yeah, Superman commits genocide in that movie. Bad reboot.
All right, so remakes. What's everyone's favorite remake?
My favorite remake would have to be a movie that I cannot remember right now.
He said True Grit, right? Was it True Grit?
True Grit, did I say True Grit?
said
True
Grit.
Okay, we talked about it before, and I said my movie and I forgot because I suck. True Grit, the Coen Brothers movie, which I call that a remake rather than like a reboot or anything, because you know it is based on the book that made the True Grit movie of John Wayne, but it also does take sort of elements from the movie of True Grit previously. You know, fuck it, I'll just call it a remake, all right?
It is a remake.
The movie has really strong casting, great cinematography, and no one can film dialogue like the Coen brothers. And there's a scene in the original that doesn't hit quite as hard where someone has been shot and they're dying and Rooster Cogburn gets information out of them. Doesn't quite work in the original. In the remake, though, holy shit, this kid's dying, he's begging for help. It's filmed so intimately, and you can just feel this sadness and this sorrow. And just when Rooster's like, I can't do nothing for you, it's like, shit. And he's just still screaming, Marshall, help me, please, Marshall. Like, it's a rough movie with True Grit.
Is it bad? I didn't see it.
I saw it. I really liked
I didn't want to see it.
I really liked it. The one thing I'd like, whenever somebody mentions the remake, though, the one scene I remember is when Rooster Cogburn has two revolvers.
Yeah.
With the reins in his teeth, right? Doesn't he have the-
Yeah, fill your hand, you son of a bitch.
He has
Like,
the
yeah,
reins in
that's
his,
awesome.
and he's like firing it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I remember though. But like, I remember like, it is really great. I love the. Was it Abigail Breslin?
No, it's not Abigail Breslin. It's it was her first movie role. I don't remember. And Haley Steinfeld, I believe. I think.
And she
it's
got an
Haley
Academy Award nomination for that.
Yeah, for Best Supporting Actress because the Academy is bullshit, and that was her movie. Like she should have been Best Lead Actress.
Yeah, and Jeff Bridges, Rooster. It's
Yeah,
fucking-
and Matt Damon as LaBeef is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like I refuse to not call Shia LaBeouf Shia LaBeef after that movie. All right, so favorite remake on your end?
I think my favorite remake would probably be Dawn of the Dead. That was written and
Yeah.
directed by. I don't know. That was written by or directed
Written by James Gunn, directed by Zack Snyder.
Yeah, Zack Snyder.
Who I don't love, but I do
No.
love Dawn of the Dead.
Great first like 30 minutes, and it drags on kind of the middle. The ending's great. Just those,
Yeah. What
Yeah.
do you love about it, man?
I love that it didn't try to be the first Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Because like Dawn of the Dead, the original one was pretty zany, but it had like a message about consumerism that it
A
was.
message I assume you didn't understand because I had to explain the racial element of Night of the Living Dead to him.
I got the mall
You
thing.
didn't get though. Like,
I didn't get the racism in Night of
Yeah,
the Living
it's
Dead.
all about racism.
Yeah,
Like
like-
I don't know how you didn't get that.
No, I said I got that. I said I got that. I didn't get the ending though. I didn't get why the ending was necessary, but you explained why it was.
It was the punchline to the whole thing. Like, it
was the punchline of the racist
That's not the point, though. It's not. So, Dawn of the Dead remake.
You love it, right?
Pretty awesome when they shot
It was-
zombie Burt Reynolds, right?
Yeah, it was having a lot. They were having a lot of fun with that movie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, and there's a zombie baby.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
That was pretty.
That was a nightmare.
That was really.
That was awful. Oh my god.
Awful in the best way, though. So,
Yeah,
Shavante, do you know any remakes that you?
I
quite
do.
enjoy?
It's one of my favorite remakes, but it's weird to say it. It's the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake. And it's weird that I like it because during the rape scene, I'm totally like, oh, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Why am I watching this? But at the same
feel like
time,
a
I lo-
bad person. You
Yeah.
feel complicit in
Exactly.
some weird way.
But at the same time, I love the characters, how they feed off
It's-
each other. But fuck, there's so much rape in the beginning.
Like,
So much.
I love that movie. I paid to see it 6 times in the theater because I'm a
6? God damn.
masochist. And I own the soundtrack, and that's my writing music. I sit down and I write while
Soundtrack too.
listening to Trent Reznor.
It's
Soundtrack. It's amazing.
It's even worse if you're one of those people who thought, like, oh, Rooney Mara, she's pretty hot in this movie.
that was my thought.
and then when,
oh
and then
no,
when
this is her first major movie. Rape 3 times.
I
No.
was like, Rooney Mara, she's not kind of what I'm usually into, but she really does it for me in this. And then a rape happens, and you have to beat that thought out of your head, like, no, bad thought. You're no better than those men that victimize her, and not turn her into it. You know what I mean? Bad things happen, and you
terrible.
feel bad about it.
The first
Like,
35 minutes.
It really transfers the emotional punch of that shit to you. Like, you as an audience kind of feel it. It's like, wow, that sucks.
it's really good. David Fincher did a great job on that one.
Yeah, and he knew that when remaking it, you can't change the scenery because the country takes place in is it Sweden? Or-
Yeah,
It's Switzerland.
No, it's
I think.
It's
Well,
like
wherever it takes place,
It's
is
normal.
impo-
It's Switzerland.
this
Sweden.
kind of destroys my point. But where it takes place is so important in the movie, you can't change it, and it's an important aspect. And it shows that David Fincher knew what he was doing when he was making this movie.
Yeah.
Although Daniel Craig's fucking accent just
Yeah.
is never right. In
Oh,
that
no,
movie.
Daniel Craig starts with an accent, then he drops it, goes back to being British.
It's like, yeah, one second you're British, then you sound American, then you're British again. Huh?
And then sometimes he tried like a European accent to start I wrote a newspaper and I'm chippy old Daniel Craig again.
Oh my
Yes I am. Gonna go fight Skyfall.
He turned Irish all of a sudden.
That was Irish to you, racist?
I thought it was like a
Do
Scottish.
we all
Irish
sound the
thing.
same to you?
That was really bad British. That's what it was.
Okay, so
Yeah, is David Fincher gonna do the whole series?
he's gonna try. I think.
Right. They have
I
the
don't
second
know if they
one.
got the funding to do the sequel yet.
I
but
know
really
they have
hope
the script written for the second one.
No, they have it written.
It's have no
but
money
it's just
whatsoever.
not getting the money.
Yeah.
So worst remake, and we can't all say Psycho.
God.
You know what? Fuck it. We're all gonna
Yeah,
say Psycho.
It's the
Gus
worst
Van
one.
Sant decided to remake a movie, a classic movie with a killer twist. Yeah, pun. And he decided to remake it shot for shot. And it just shows you, hey man, you can fake a Picasso painting, but that don't fucking mean you're Picasso. Because that movie is fucking balls. Like, oh my god.
Holy shit. I just thought of a shitty sequel, but go.
Yeah, no.
I just thought of a shitty one. Would you count American Psycho 2? All American Girl?
Yeah.
Mila Kunis? Oh, I just thought of that's a piece of shit, but go on.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll talk about that later, but go
Psycho
on.
is a movie that it doesn't work being remade. You can't do it, man.
I think one of the worst parts was it's supposed to take place in the 90s, yet it still always feels like it's the 60s.
Which, I feel like that was a point. They wanted to make it uncomfortable on some level, and by doing that, they create a friction between what we're seeing and what we're supposed to be feeling. And there's some weird choices that the actors make. Anthony Perkins is so likable as
Norman Bates.
fucking Norman Bates. Fucking Norman Bates. He's so likable as him that you feel bad for him. Like when the car is sinking into the swamp and it stops, you're like, oh shit, no, he's not gonna get away with it. And you're like, wait, I'm rooting for the killer? Like, he brought that to it. He made you sympathize and empathize with him. Whereas Vince Vaughn's a creepy motherfucker. And the one choice Gus Van Sant made to add to the movie is Norman fucking jerking off while watching this girl shower. Adding that just totally made him even more hard to empathize with. Which, it was just so hard to feel for, and
It was so hard to feel.
you know what I mean.
Very poor choice of words.
It's an uncomfortable movie, because, Vince Vaughn's a big fucking linebacker-looking dude, and when he's in that scene with, is it Anne Heche?
Yeah.
When he's in that scene with Anne Heche, it feels like she's in danger from the get-go. You don't feel of Anthony Perkins because he's a diminutive man in that scene. But no, fucking Vince Vaughn will murder someone.
If you're wondering why we talk about Psycho, I just saw it the other day.
It's so bad.
It's really bad.
Man, it's no Starship Troopers. That's how I rate all my movies.
We want
Okay,
to talk about shit movies, right?
So wait, though, what's a movie you would want to remake, though?
I would.
Yeah,
Got
what
a chance
movie would...
to remake movie?
Okay, I'll start off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would want to remake 1981's Dragon Slayer,
Oh.
which I fucking love that movie. I grew up watching it on VHS, but you know the special effects still hold up pretty well for today. But I just think that if you make it again with young cast, you know, today's modern handsome actors and actresses, you get some top of the line special effects with maybe Guillermo del Toro directing it. And this is one of Guillermo del Toro's favorite movies. Dude fucking loves it. He screened it at an Ain't It Cool event with Harry Knowles once for its 30th anniversary. Like, it's a great movie, great sequences, it's a lot of fun. I just think if you do it again and just beef up some elements, you could really make an audience fall in love with it like they should have in 1981. Because this is a dark movie. Like, it's a Disney movie, live action, but it's so fucking dark. Like, the hero does not win in that movie. The dragon fucking wins for 90% of the movie. It's like, yeah, I think audiences now are ready for that.
A movie I would remake, and it might sound strange, The Breakfast Club, and you can already cast it. Listen, hear me
Anna
out.
Kendrick
No, I'm not Anna
as Molly
Kendrick.
Ringwald's character.
No. This is the cast for it. I want the cast with Vampire Diaries to do Breakfast Club.
Who would Nina Dobrev be? Would she be Ali Sheedy or?
No, Sweet Al Sheedy.
You're starting to get an accent there.
And then Cat
What do you
Graham with the
say,
modern-
Nina Dobrev? Like you want to imitate an accent when you do it, you know?
What are you? You're like Eastern European meets Latin.
Hey,
sort of
I do the
thing.
same accent Daniel Craig did for 5 minutes in Girl with Dragon Tattoo.
I'm from Lithuania. boy.
Yeah, like tell me more about this remake. Like,
Oh, yeah.
What would you change? What would you stay?
Essentially the same thing.
Just new actors.
It's new actors, the exact same thing. But I want to replace the principal with
Except he
Sterling.
jerks off in one scene.
Oh yeah, just whacks off in the principal's
Yeah.
office.
Yeah. Emilio Estevez plays the principal now, so it's like, oh, ooh, the torch has been passed. Okay, so what would you remake?
I want to know if it would be possible if he could remake a good Tron. Because I saw Tron Legacy.
So you don't
and I
want to
was
reboot, you just want to remake Tron 1.
Yeah, just Tron 1. I remember like Tron. I saw Tron Legacy and I was like,
Tron was aces.
I saw Tron Legacy and I'm like, well, everything looks pretty, but I'm not getting
It looked
anything.
It's
from
a
this.
really good music video. Like, I think you're being a little harsh on it. Daft Punk put a lot of work into
They
it.
didn't do all 12 songs with the soundtrack.
Yeah, the whole
good.
soundtrack was them.
It's just that punk.
Yeah.
Already.
How would you remake it? Like, what would you try and change, man?
More black people?
More black people.
They're all computer programs. That doesn't count. Javante.
What?
They're
They
not
didn't-
white or black. They're computer programs.
They just appear white or black to us.
Okay, so yeah.
Oh man, I'm just.
You just want more
No,
trouble.
I'm kind of like. Sorry, I've been distracted because I'm thinking that I'm seeing a DVD in the case and it looks like Big Trouble in Little China for some.
You can't remake that movie.
I'm not thinking of
I
remaking.
will fucking fight someone to the death if they try and.
I'm not thinking of that, but just like it just always draws my eye every time I look over there and it's distracting me from the show.
Well, I'm glad to know you don't pay attention to your own show.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see how much he cares about you. I'm
No,
glad he
Tron,
cares,
I
though.
want
That's
them-
why I'm always here.
Yeah. Tron, I want them to kind of emphasize like
The religious aspect.
I would say the relationship between Sam and his dad. It's Sam, right?
Oh, so you want to remake Tron 2? Just Tron 2? We're gonna remake Tron Legacy. Forget all of what happened before. Just Tron Legacy.
We're remaking it
starts again.
already.
The first one's good. It's the second one. We'll jump from there.
Have you seen Tron, the first one?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, with like the.
Tell me a single plot element of Tron.
God damn it! Are you gonna put me on?
I don't
blast?
think he's seen Tron.
Wait,
I saw Tron. It was like 6
I think
years
you
ago,
just
but I
saw
saw
Tron.
Tron.
Wait, is
I remember every fucking moment of Tron.
Can I
'cause
ask
that movie is
something?
fucking long
Wait,
and tedious.
can I get a question from Tron 1?
Yeah.
Is it not awkward that 15 minutes they talk about why they can't go in the water? Or is that just me that thinks that's weird? Like, oh, we can't, our software doesn't work in the water, so we.
Wait, why is there even water there?
Why the fuck is there water?
If they can't go in the water, why do they put water there?
Dude, I have no clue.
So we're gonna remake Tron 2, answer all these questions about it.
All right, so we're done with the sequel, reboot, remake talk. Right now, we're gonna talk about something that's been blowing up a lot. A lot of people were talking about it for some reason. It's
Well, no, not for some reason. The movie's fucking called Sharknado. It's about a tornado made up of sharks. Yeah, we're gonna fucking talk about this. Like, how are you not going to talk about this? If this happened in real life,
We're
it's
fucked.
all we would talk about for 10 fucking years. Like, that's all humanity would talk about. Like, hey dude, Chuck, you remember the time fucking Sharknado showed up and killed 800 people? Yeah, sharks were just gulping people up. They couldn't even fucking breathe in the tornado, but they kept eating. That was fucking weird. Like, it's a sci-fi channel movie. It's like an asylum produced movie, and it's about a tornado that picks up some sharks and tears up like the fucking SoCal.
You think if like
No.
the shark ran into a building, it would die
No,
Yeah,
from being spun at violent
you would
speeds.
think that, but it's like, oh, level 5 tornado picked up dozens and dozens of fucking sharks, great white sharks, I mind you, in fucking seawater.
No, not just great whites. All the sharks.
Oh yeah, it's
All the sharks.
Every species.
All the sharks are just hanging out in the Pacific Ocean one time, like having a shark meeting. Like, fish are friends, not food. How do we talk about shark business? Fucking tornado is like, I need you, and picks them up.
No, and it lands in Southern California. It's like, oh, we'll be okay. No, these people are getting eaten. They're going towards the sharks. Why the fuck is no one running? I don't
And
know.
the sharks have two modes of eating people. One, they swallow them whole. Two, they fucking like pass by them in the tornado, take one bite off, then another bite comes off, another layer of skin. Like, it's fucking amazing. It's like, oh, we're gonna nibble here, nibble there, and we're good.
Oh my god, they're hammerheads.
And there's a woman who has a scar on like her leg, and she's like, oh, I don't like sharks. Do you want to talk about it?
No.
No, I don't want to.
I
And
don't
then
like
later
sharks.
she's like, my whole family were out at sea, and then like they drowned, and I was left out at sea for 2 days. When finally, she doesn't have an accent. I don't know why I'm doing an accent.
Yeah, why are you? I don't
Because
understand.
I'm bad at acting as they are, right?
don't know why.
So she's like, after 2 days at sea, they came to rescue me. And right as they pulled me out of the water, a shark fucking bit my leg. Like, right at the last moment, the shark was like, nope, bitch, gotcha. Which, like, this comes at a weird moment in the movie. And the guy's like, man, now I really hate sharks too. What the fuck?
Tell me there was a guy there who had a real like huge fear of tornadoes.
No.
There was-
They're all pretty cool with the tornadoes. They weren't questioning the tornadoes at all. Like, yeah, I guess it just happens here in SoCal now. Fuck pollution and shit.
And instead, there was those few people like, oh, we're not afraid of sharks. They're getting eaten. It's those people.
And there's an Australian character who, I don't know why he's Australian.
Are you into the accent? again?
No, I'm not gonna do an accent, Mike.
Are you asking?
I saw Pacific Rim. Love those Australian characters, but you know, he's an offensive stereotype of an Australian.
Did you say the phrase "shrimp on the Barbie"?
And no, but
Oh,
there's this, like every bad movie, there's a subplot of a divorced couple getting back together
No.
because
Yeah.
a terrible circumstance forced them to get back together. It happens with what's it? Alien movie. Randy Quaid kills the aliens by flying into them. Fuck Independence Day.
Yeah.
Independence Day. Jeff Goldblum gets back together with his wife because aliens are there. In this movie, Tara Reid gets back with her ex-husband because a Sharknado has changed their lives dramatically.
Oh,
And hey,
no.
when a Sharknado hits, you may as well hook up with an old flame.
Yep. And there's a scene where our favorite character, Nova, the aforementioned shark bite lady, she gets swallowed by a shark hole. 20 minutes like past in the movie. A shark comes to eat this dude's daughter. Dude pushes her out of the way, revs up a chainsaw, jumps into the shark, saws through it. Nova's in there. It's the same shark that ate her. She's alive. Happy ending for everyone.
Yeah, I thought that was fucking dumb, but it's whatever.
Milan, you didn't see Sharknado, but we need to tell you how they defeated the Sharknado, because they defeated a fucking tornado made of sharks. They got in some helicopter, and they dropped fucking bombs on it. Which arguably would have killed more people, because the tornado would have
It's
just
so
thrown
fucking
some bombs
illogical.
around. Like, no, we're gonna blow some Sharknado up.
Oh man, we're gonna drop these.
How did that stop the tornado, though?
I don't know, and they all knew how to make bombs, even the kids. They're like, yeah, Dad, I can make a fucking bomb. I'm not so
Oh, you
pussy."
know how to make TNT? Yeah, Dad, sure.
Yeah,
Fucking make bombs.
I've
It's
only
collective.
gone to public school my entire life. Gosh.
The whole county of Los Angeles comes together, makes bombs, and just drops.
I thought they were
them
gonna
in the
like defeat it by like Pa Kent
With
becoming
love?
one with the Sharknado.
Yeah, it's a tie with Man of Steel. Like, he's like, no, son, I must become one with Tornado, and then get up a bunch of sharks to fight you because you became a villain in the movie. So yeah, Sharknado's the unofficial interquel for Man of Steel. That should be our next segment, interquels, movies that take place during movies.
Alright, so
Closing thoughts on Sharknado?
Shitty movie, but I really liked it.
Yeah, it's made for the crowd that enjoys shitty movies, ironically. So really, this movie is feeding off their own hipster bullshit of enjoying things for, not their own merits. So really, you made this happen. We're all responsible for Sharknado, and we should be proud of that.
for the ironic audience, like me when I wear this shirt, even though I'm unemployed.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
So yeah, let's continue with our unemployment, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.